Welcome back to the deep dive. It is, believe it or not, February 2026. And I want you to just take a second and, look around where you are right now.
Hmm.
Maybe you're on your commute, maybe you're in a coffee shop, or maybe you're actually sitting at your desk. I want you to just think back maybe 10 years ago to what the word office meant.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a trip down memory lane.
Isn't it? What comes to mind for me, it's rows of like identical gray desks, that weird humming fluorescent lighting.
I try not to think about the smell, honestly. The stale coffee and the photocopier toner.
Exactly. But that whole reality, that version of the workplace, it's rapidly becoming a museum piece.
It really is.
Today, we're digging into something a bit different, the actual floorboards beneath our desks. We're looking at how going to work has shifted from those rigid corporate headquarters to something that feels, well, a lot more like checking into a high-end hotel.
Yeah, it's a massive shift. And we're not just talking about, better chairs or a ping pong table.
Right.
We are talking about a total restructure of the relationship between a worker and their workspace. It's gone from you must be here to you want to be here.
That is the key. And to guide us through this, we're looking at it all through a very specific lens today, and that's moveandstay.com.
Ah, okay.
Now, for anyone listening who might not be familiar, Move and Stay has been a quiet giant in this space for, well, over 25 years. They specialize in connecting business travelers with extended stay solutions, so service apartments, hotels, and for today, serviced offices.
And that context is so important. I mean, they've been doing this flexible life thing long before it was trendy. They have really deep roots, especially across Asia Pacific,
Yeah.
helping professionals find places to live and work.
Right, for those stays that are longer than just a couple of nights.
Exactly. So they have had a front row seat to this whole evolution. They've watched the market go from just, I need a temporary desk, to I need a premium, lifestyle-driven workspace that actually rivals my living room.
They know what people like you listening right now are actually asking for. So to illustrate this, we've got a specific case study. We are zooming in on the south coast of England, Bournemouth specifically, to look at a project that I think just perfectly encapsulates this new era. We're talking about the transformation of a building called Victoria House.
It is a fascinating example. And to get the full picture, we've pulled together announcements from the operator, a company called Arena Offices, plus reports from BE News and the Bournemouth Echo.
So what's our mission for this deep dive?
Well, it's pretty straightforward. We want to unpack why an £8 million renovation of an old insurance building signals a totally new era for how businesses find a home.
£8 million. That is a number we are going to not have to come back to,
Oh.
because that is not just a fresh coat of paint.
No, absolutely not. That is a statement of intent.
But before we get to the money, let's just set the scene. Victoria House reimagined. Where exactly are we?
We're in the Westbourne area of Bournemouth on Poole Road. Now, if you know the area, Westbourne is an interesting spot. It's not some gritty industrial park. It has a real village feel.
A village feel. So like coffee shops, boutiques.
Exactly. Lots of independent shops, cafes, that kind of lifestyle vibe where you actually want to go on your lunch break.
Yeah.
But it's also a serious business hub. It bridges that gap.
And the building itself, Victoria House, it wasn't always this flashy, flexible workspace we're about to talk about.
No, and the symbolism here is just perfect because it tells the story of the whole economy.
Yeah.
It used to be occupied by LV Insurance.
Okay, stop there. LV Insurance. When I think of an old school insurance headquarters, I think of a fortress.
That's the perfect word for it.
Yeah.
You think about that model. One single, massive corporate tenant taking up the entire building.
The whole thing.
The whole 21,000 square feet.
Oh.
All for one company, one culture. It's the old world of work. It was stable, sure, but it was so rigid. You built a castle, put your logo on top, and locked the doors. Now it's going from that single-tenant fortress to a dynamic, multi-tenant hub. From one company holding the keys to, potentially dozens of different businesses sharing the space. It's a shift from ownership to access.
Which is really the defining economic shift of our generation, isn't it? Cars, music, software, and now offices. So who's behind this change?
The company is called Arena Offices. And we need to get a bit technical here for a second because the deal structure really matters. This wasn't just a management deal.
Right, the sources were specific. They didn't just rent it. Arena Offices acquired the site. They bought the freehold.
Correct. And that distinction is huge.
Okay, so for the listener who isn't in commercial real estate, why do we care? Why does it matter if the operator owns the building?
It's maybe one of the most critical takeaways here. If you look at the history of co-working, a lot of the big names operated on what's called a lease arbitrage model.
Lease arbitrage. Okay, break that down for us.
So basically, the operator rents a floor from a landlord for, say, 10 years. Then they chop it up, put in some cool furniture, and sublease it to you, the freelancer, the startup, on a monthly basis. They profit on the difference.
Sounds smart on paper.
It works great when the economy is booming. But what happens if they can't fill the desks? They still owe the landlord rent. And if they can't pay, they get evicted. And guess what? So do you, the innocent tenant.
Wow. So you could literally show up to work one day and the doors are locked because your landlord didn't pay their landlord.
Exactly. But because Arena Offices owns the freehold of Victoria House,
They control their own destiny.
they own the dirt. They aren't going anywhere. And that signals stability. If you're moving your team in there, you want to know the whole operation isn't going to fold in 6 months.
That lines up perfectly with the kind of reliability Move and Stay would look for. After 25 years, they know their clients, whether they're in Tokyo or Bournemouth, need that trust.
Precisely. And it also justifies the investment. You don't spend the kind of money they spent if you're just renting the place yourself.
Let's get back to that money, because that figure really shocked me. We're recording this in February 2026. The project was set for completion right about now. The sources all say an 8 million pound figure for the renovations.
That's right.
8 million. Just on the refurbishment.
Just the refurbishment. That's on top of what they paid for the freehold.
That seems, that feels excessive. Usually an office refit is new carpet, maybe some glass walls, a fresh coat of paint. 8 million sounds like they're rebuilding it from the inside out.
They essentially are.
Yeah.
But you have to ask why. Why spend that much when you could do it for half and still have a nice office?
That's my question. Is it just vanity?
No, it's pure strategy. We have to look at the analysis from Simon West. He's the executive chairman of Arena Offices. He saw a specific gap, a scarcity in the market.
What was his take on it?
He noted that while there was office space in Westbourne, there was a huge lack of high-quality office accommodation.
Ah, the flight to quality. We hear that phrase a lot.
Exactly. In 2026, the bar is just so much higher. If you're trying to convince people to leave their home offices, where the coffee is free and the commute is 10 seconds, you can't offer them a drab gray box. You just can't.
Such a good point. The competition isn't another office building, it's the comfort of home.
It is. So this renovation is all about high-end interior design. The goal is a sophisticated and functional workspace. It's about prestige. Your office is part of your brand. Simon West is betting that by spending that £8 million, they'll attract new companies to the area who've been waiting for something of this caliber.
And the target audience isn't just existing corporate departments moving around.
No, that's a key distinction. The design is aimed squarely at growing businesses. You know, the Googles of the world, they build their own campuses. But a company that just raised its Series A, a law firm that's expanding, they need a home that's impressive but also accessible.
So Arena Offices is the operator. We know they own their buildings, but are they new to this?
Far from it. They're a seasoned player. Victoria House brings their portfolio up to 12 buildings all across the south of England. And again, to hammer that point home, they own all 12.
That's a serious footprint.
It is. Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty. If I'm a listener looking for a space, what does this £8 million actually get me? What's inside?
Yeah, walk us through the specs.
First off, capacity. It's 21,000 square feet, and it's set up for between 500 and 600 desks.
That's a small village of workers.
It is, but the magic word is configuration. The sources all emphasize flexibility, which is the core of the serviced office model that Move and Stay champions. You're not leasing a 500-desk block. You might take 10 desks today.
Yeah, and then if I hire 5 more people next month, I don't have to move.
Nope. You just take 15 desks, and maybe things slow down in the summer, you scale back to 12, you can grow or contract inside the same 4 walls.
That adaptability it's everything for a modern agile business.
It's the antidote to that old LV insurance model. Back then, you signed a 10-year lease. If you grew, you were cramped. If you shrank, you were paying for empty air. This model turns real estate from a fixed cost into a variable one.
Right, it becomes a utility. You pay for what you use, like cloud storage.
Exactly. Okay, so you have your flexible desk. What about amenities? Does high-end design just mean fancy lamps?
And a good espresso machine.
It goes deeper. The big standout feature mentioned is concierge reception services.
Concierge, that's a word you hear at the Ritz, not an office building.
And that's the buzzword you need to know. Hotelification.
Hotelification, I like that.
A hotelification of real estate. Think about checking into a nice hotel in, say, Singapore. A market Move and Stay knows inside and out. Someone greets you warmly, they handle everything. Now contrast that with a typical office lobby.
Oh, I can picture it. A grumpy security guard, a clipboard you have to sign. It's an obstacle course.
It's night and day. Arena is betting on that hotel experience. When your client walks into Victoria House, they're greeted by a concierge. It elevates the perception of your business instantly.
That is a huge selling point. What about the less sexy but maybe more important stuff?
You mean, where do I put my car?
Always the critical question. I don't care how nice the lobby is if I can't park.
Well, the £8 million didn't forget the basics. They have 120 car parking spaces on site.
120 spaces in Westbourne, that's gold dust.
It's a massive asset. And for connectivity, it's right near the A338, so it's accessible for commuters coming from outside Bournemouth. You get the village vibe for lunch, but the highway access for the commute.
The best of both worlds.
Okay,
So we have the building, the investment, the specs, but let's zoom out. So why does this really matter beyond just being a nice new building?
I think it matters because it redefines what a business community looks like. Arena Offices talks a lot about fostering a thriving business community.
Which, to be fair, can sometimes just be marketing speak for we have a shared kitchen.
Sometimes, yes. But think about the scale. 500 to 600 people. That's critical mass.
Yeah.
When you have that many people from different industries, tech, law, creative sharing one space, real networks start to form.
That's a good point. You might meet your next client or your next accountant just by grabbing a coffee.
Exactly. It creates an ecosystem.
Yeah.
And for Westbourne itself, this is a revitalization engine. You're bringing 600 professionals with disposable income into that neighborhood every single day.
They're buying sandwiches, going to happy hour.
It supports the whole local economy. It turns the building from a silo into a pump.
And it really brings us back to where we started with moveandstay.com. A project like this highlights why a platform like that is so necessary.
Totally. Because how do you find these places? Trawling commercial real estate listings is a nightmare. It doesn't tell you about the vibe or the concierge.
It's just square footage and price.
That's where 25 years of experience comes in. Move and Stay has been curating this stuff for decades. They understand a serviced office in 2026 isn't just a room with a desk, it's a whole solution.
They connect the professional to the solution. Whether it's a service department for a project in Singapore or an office for your new branch in Bournemouth.
It is plug and play for business. You land, you work, you live, and the infrastructure is just handled. Victoria House is the physical embodiment of that philosophy.
So let's wrap this up. We've seen the transformation of Victoria House. An £8 million injection of life into 21,000 square feet, owned and operated by Arena Offices for stability, packed with amenities, and designed for the modern agile business.
A perfect case study for the post-2020s work era.
So here's my final thought for you listening. We talked about the hotelification of the office. If a workspace now offers a concierge, high-end design, and total flexibility, is it still an office? Or has it become a service that businesses consume just like they consume software?
That is the question. Are we renting space or are we subscribing to productivity?
And for your own work life, are you stuck in a Victoria House past, rigidly locked into a desk you don't need? Or are you working in a Victoria House future? Something to chew on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
See you next time.